Hello, welcome friends. Welcome to today's fun and free paint party, paint along, lunchtime painting, whatever we want to call it. We're back on track for our Thursday date, so I'm excited to have my schedule back on track. We are painting the jar of tulips with the little tag here. And if you're able to join, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. If you're catching this on the replay, comment #replay. I am just going to make sure that everything looks okay today. And usually I do a split screen at the beginning and kind of show my face, but I have had a day and I'm a bit of a mess, so we'll just go with the overhead camera today. Okay, so I see myself, I'm live. Let's check the audio. Okay. So like I said, if you are watching, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. What are you doing today? If you're painting along, let me know. Or if you plan on painting later. So if you're new here, one second. Grandma's here. Would you just let her know that she can come in the back? Thanks, love. So if you're new here, my name's Byrdie Larsen and I run Redbyrd Designs. And we have a couple different groups or memberships. We have Redbyrd Retreat, which is opening up soon. That is our online paint membership where I teach women how to paint in a private group, helping them grow and learn, heal and recharge and rejuvenate in Redbyrd Retreat, all while having fun painting. And then we also have the Joy Box, which is our monthly DIY kit that we send out every month, and it's a kit that contains everything you need to create a beautiful item for your project. It includes a live tutorial to teach you how to do it. And so those are our two main things that we do at Redbyrd Designs, and we also have DIY kits in the shop on our website, and we host paint parties locally too. So if you would be so kind and to help my small business, if you would just give me some thumbs up or hearts and let me know that you like this video, and that lets me know to continue with these little fun lunchtime paintings. Also, to help inspire others who are looking for some fun painting ideas, or maybe somebody who's new to painting and is on the lookout for a tutorial. If you spread the joy, that could possibly help somebody else out there, and also helps me. And then as always, say hi so that I can say hi back. And I'm not seeing any comments yet, so if you are watching, say hi so I know that my comments are working. Okay, so we are doing the tulip tutorial, and with our fun and free series that we do, we offer a supply list and a tracer for free. I just want to make sure. Let's see. Facebook has moved some things around on me, so comments are a little bit harder to see, but I think we can manage. Okay, so let me just pop in here. Maybe, there we go. Now I see you guys. Great. Let's see if I can just mute myself here real quick. Okay. Carrie Lynn, hi there. It's Carrie from Canada. I can't attend today, but hope to catch you later. I love this painting. Thank you. Yes, it will be available for replay. So, okay, so the supply list and tracers are available on our website, and we've done a website change. Previously, if you've downloaded before, you would go to the website, it would have a little download link next to the picture of the item that you wanted or the tutorial that you wanted, and you had to input your email and it would then email you a zip file. And we're in the process of changing that. Well, we have changed it. So now we have what's called the Fun and Free membership. So you log in, you create an account, and then you're able to access that library. So hopefully that helps with multiple emails or emails getting lost in our spam, our junk folder, things like that. So the idea is you log in, you access the library, you click on the picture, and then immediately the PDFs start to download. So no more zip files either. It's just one PDF that contains either 2 or 3 pages, including that supply list and tracer. So we're hoping that this is a little bit easier. If you have any issues with the website, please email us at and let us know so that we can fix this. This is fairly new to us, and so with that, there's always a little bit of growing pains and tweakings that we have to do. So email support at redbyrddesigns.com support at redbyrddesign.com, and we will help you out there. Okay, so let's get started. Today my colors are the white and black. I've got a burnt umber and a territorial beige. We've got Kelly green and a Hauser medium green. I'm using not the Key West, that is not right. Blue cotton. I think I wrote it down in the supply list wrong too. Blue cotton, I think, is what we're using for the jar there. And then for the tulips, we've got the razzleberry. I've got a cameo pink, and that's it. Okay. For brushes, I'm going to use a large flat, and I've got just a couple different size rounds. And then I'm also going to use a paint pen to put the tag lettering in. All right. All right, so this one I'm painting today on 9 by 12. And previously in the paint-alongs or paint parties prior to this, we were doing an 11 by 14. And I think we're going to switch to the 9 by 12. You can always take these PDFs and scale them up or scale them down, the tracers, if you want to. But I think having this be on a 9 by 12 is going to be a little bit easier for people to work in a sketchbook. And a 9 by 12 sketchbook is pretty standard. And so again, just a small little change to help you guys get to painting more. You don't have to go out and get a different size, although you can, like I said, scale these up in the PDF reader, printer, whatever you're using to print them, and do it that way too. But this correlates with a sketchbook, and you can just go with your mixed media. Hi from Oregon. Wow, pretty. I think I'll do it this afternoon. Awesome. I would love to see it when you're finished. Okay. So I am going to start by getting my graphite paper out, and we will get this traced on here. I'm going to align this where I want it with my surface. We'll tape it down so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to just grab a pencil. Graphite paper has two sides. If you've watched me before, you'll know this. It's got the shiny side and the dull side. You want to make sure that shiny side is down. That is your, I'm going to scoot this down just a little bit here. We're just a little high. The shiny side is the side that has the graphite. So that's what you want to be down on your surface. Okay, and then using a medium pressure, I'm going to just quickly go over my flowers here and a few of these leaves. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'll just kind of sketch those in when I do the painting. We'll put the jar in and the tag. I am not going to go over the For Mom part because I'm going to hand letter that in afterwards. And it would get covered up with the brown tag lettering anyways. Okay. So for the background on this one, I did something a little bit different. I created a wash for it. So I have a dark, I used the burnt umber and I washed that on, which means I just used the paint and watered it down. And then I came over with another wash after that was dry in a white and black mix to get me a gray. So I'm just cleaning off some space here so I have some area on my palette. So we're going to start with that burnt umber and we're going to create a wash. So I just need a little bit of this and then I'm going to grab some water out of my water jar here and just mix that in. So I dip my brush in. My brush is going to hold water in those bristles, right? And then I'll just come out and mix that together. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to focus on going up and down. So I've got this really light brown. I can still see through to my image. And if it's a little dark, just grab some water on your brush and push that paint around and water it down right on your surface. Essentially what my goal is to create kind of a wood paneling background, the rustic wood paneling background. And so this is just laying that base color down. And because I want it to look like wood, I'm focusing my brush strokes in this up and down manner. Okay. All right, so we're gonna speed the dry time up on this. So I'm gonna grab my blow dryer. Sorry for the noise, it should only take a second here. And then next we're going to get some white out and a little bit of black to create a gray. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a wash. I don't want a solid white because I want to see some of that brown kind of peeking through, giving us this great rustic wood look in the background. I'm going to just dip my brush and kind of tap off any excess. And then I'm going to water down my white. And my water is pretty dirty. And I don't change it out as often as I probably should. But that's okay that it's kind of giving me this dirty white look. I'm going to grab just a little bit of black in there and even make it a little gray. Okay, so I've got this watered down area here, and we're just going to go up and down. And it's okay if you kind of run out of paint and get these dragged edges. Typically when you're painting, you don't want that. You want to be able to push your paint around and get a nice coverage, but in this case it really just adds to that wood look that I'm going for here. So I'm okay that I don't have enough paint on my brush and I've got that brown kind of peeking through. Alright, so I'm going to water down just a little bit more white here. We don't need a lot. I'm going to grab a little bit of that black. Black goes a long way, so don't overdo it. Just a tiny bit. If you need to add more, but start small because it will go a long way. All right. A little more water. And there we go. So the more water you add, the more translucent your paint will be, because you're watering down that pigment. So if you want a really if you really want to see that brown pop through, you want more water in your white. If you want to see more white and cover up most of that brown, you want less water. Okay, so I'm going to just blow dry this real quick again. There we go. So you can kind of see the difference here. In the original, I had more white. I wasn't using quite as much water as I am here, so you can see the difference. This is less water on the original, this is more water here, so you're able to see that brown come through more in this case. Just to kind of give you those examples there. Alright, so let's get the blue out. We're going to start by putting in our jar. And I'm going to switch to my round, or my large round. And for the jar, I'm going to use the blue and a mix of white. So I've got a bunch of blue on my brush, and I'm just going to dip it into that white. And we are going to just start by laying in our base color here. We're letting those two colors kind of just mix right on our surface. And I probably could have gotten away with using my large flap for this. It's a big surface to cover. Oops, I got it in the black. We're going to wash it real quick here. Okay. And I need more white. So our goal is to create a jar that's see-through, and that is why I am adding this white. It's kind of giving us that look that it's a little bit see-through, and it's not just a solid color. A blue. Okay. And I'm also kind of thinking about bringing in some water here in just a little bit after we put some of the stalks of the greenery in and the stems. So when we fill it with water, we want our brush strokes to go right and left, and so that's what I'm kind of creating those already and getting that base in, so I have those brush strokes that are going right and left right there. And I'm just gonna straighten out my lid here. I've got kind of a lopsided top. There we go. All right, we're gonna let that sit. We're gonna let that dry. Let's go get our base coat on our flowers. I'm going to get the dark pink out, and then I'm going to get this light pink out. And I'm going to start by using the dark pink as my base. And when I do tulips, I like to do, I start with this U shape here, and then I come in the other way with it. So I use the tip of my round, it's kind of to that point right there, and that's going to create the petals on the end. And so I kind of lay that at the top here, and then I bring my brush stroke down, and that's a petal. And then I come the other way with it, and I also think about creating this little bit of an arch in my brush stroke. And that will become more, you'll see those brush strokes a little more with the next layer here. But you can see how I've got the top here that's got that little bit of a zigzag, and we have those petals that we can see there. So we've got a flower here. I'm going to start with that U shape. And then we'll come in from the top, bring our brush down to that center. I've got one right here. We'll do that U shape. So if you didn't see the announcement yesterday, didn't see the Rainboot Spring Floral Challenge, we are doing a floral spring challenge next week, and that's going to be a little bit different. It's a little more of a bigger project. And so we're taking 2 days, 2 lunch periods for that next week. Starts on Thursday, and it is $12 to join, and we have a private group for that. We supply you with the supply list and tracers for that, and really just break down creating this piece. I think I have a sketch of it here. Let me show it to you. You didn't see it. Every painting I do starts in one of my mixed media pads. So that is what we're going to paint next week. So I invite you to join us. It's $12. There's going to be door prizes, gift cards, and then it's just going to be a lot of fun. 2 days. We're going to break it down so that it isn't a super long one. The first day we'll do the background, the grass, and the boots, and then the next day we're going to concentrate on the flowers. And if you notice, we've got tulips here, so if you paint this with me today, you kind of are already getting a little sneak peek of how to do the tulips. So that is on our website. You can purchase your ticket for that at redbyrddesign.com and go to our classes tab and you will see it there. Okay. So we've got our first coat down, that's our base coat, and next I'm going to go into this lighter pink here, and I want to create these bold brush strokes for my tulips. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top and work down, and so I have pressure here and then I kind of release because I want to see some of this dark at the base. I'm just bringing in that light color at the top there, and I let it fade towards the bottom. And my tulips are still wet, which is great because that is going to allow me to kind of create a blend of these colors and kind of have a gradient that naturally occurs because my paint is still wet. Alright, I'm going to go back to that dark, and I'm just going to bring some of that dark up over the top of the light a little bit. So here I'm starting at the bottom and I'm just dragging that dark up, blending it just even a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to go grab some white, and we're going to layer some white in there. I am not washing my brush, so I've got all the pinks on my brush, and now I've just added white. And again, we're going to just let those colors blend as we do a brush stroke, giving us this really great light pink. In some areas it might be a little bit more white. No two flowers are going to be the same essentially, so that's kind of another reason why I love just letting my colors blend right on my surface, having all those on my brush. Okay, so these are still pretty wet, and when you are layering colors like this, using just a really light pressure. We don't want to use too hard of a pressure, because what's going to happen is we start to pick up some of that color underneath, and it will look really gloppy and gloopy, I guess, if that's a word. So when I'm layering colors and I want them to kind of blend, I'm really just lightly pushing down and laying that paint right on top there. Okay, so let's let these dry. And let's go work on our greenery. So I'm using a blend of the Kelly green and the Hauser medium green. And I didn't mention this at the beginning, but all of these colors are really just suggestions. You can definitely use any color you want for your paintings. You know, use what you have on hand. So I'm going to start with this Kelly green, and actually I'm going to switch to a smaller round, just one step down. You could even switch to maybe even a liner brush if you want to. So my first thing I'm going to concentrate on is creating my stems so that my tulips aren't floating. And I'm just going to use that Kelly green. I'm going to start at the base of the tulip, and I want to bring it all the way down into the jar. Okay, so we're going to go from the top here and just do one swoop all the way down. We'll go to the next one. It's okay if they cross, if they fade into the same spot. And the last one here. There we go. Alright, so for the leaves I'm going to do a combo of the Kelly green and the what is it again? Hauser medium green. And for the leaves, I'm going to do skinny little leaves. I'm going to start here and light pressure, and then I'm just going to build pressure and kind of swoop it down into the jar. So we start with a light pressure, skinny line, and then we kind of build it up, make it thicker, and have it fade into our jar. And you can add as much greenery as you want. This one's going to fade behind. So I'm going to stop it at the top of that flower, and then I'm going to just pick up from below and just kind of bring it down in. And I've got one out here. And then we'll do just a short guy right here. And I think that's good. Alright, so I'm going to bring this little bit of greenery over here. I've kind of created just this center piece, but I know some of this greenery is going to kind of sit over here, so I'll bring just a streak there and maybe have it come out like this. If you're just hopping on, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you're doing today. Okay. So I'm gonna come in with just a little bit of white actually, and add some white streaks to the tops of my leaves here, to give them some highlights. They're still a little bit wet, so if it creates this great kind of blend sometimes too, and that's kind of fun. Alright, so let's go work on this jar here, because the next step now is to push those all of this back, right? We want, it looks like it's sitting on top of the jar, so now we want to push it back into the jar. And let me just blast this area right here real quick so it doesn't catch on my white and my blue. So I'm going to start by loading my brush up with the blue, and I want to bring the top of my jar. So the top of a jar is a really long oval, a skinny oval. And so I'm going to start on this end and come around over the top of my leaves. And you can start to see how those are now starting to get pushed to the back. Okay, and then we're going to streak just a little bit more blue. So we've got the ridges at the top of the jar where we, for when we screw the lid on, and I'm going to use just a solid blue for that. So I'm going to streak a couple lines across for those ridges. So I've come from this side with one to about the center, and then from the other side I'm going to come with two, kind of one on top of that, and then another ridge kind of down below, and again just kind of stopping at the center there. And I'm going to take and create this blue line around that edge there, the top of the jar, and come around with some blue over here, and just kind of define the edges of my jar with that blue. Alright, then we're going to decide how far up we want our water to be. And I'm going to define that with just this blue, so we'll go about right here. Okay, and then I'm going to give my brush a wash real quick. We're going to go into this white. I'm going to water it down just a little bit, so we don't make it, we want it to be a little bit more transparent, so that we can still see a little bit of those stems. So I'm going to start down here and just drag that white across, just really lightly. And we're starting to see that greenery fade. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of blue and create a light blue, still using that watered down white that I have here. Okay. And then we're going to water it down even more. Add just a little bit of blue to that watered down white. And we're going to drag it across up here. So down here, it's where the water is, it's more coverage than it is up on top where it's just the glass jar. Let's grab just a little bit of that green in there. Some of that green is going to give us a little bit of, or we'll see some of the reflection off of the glass for that green. I'm just doing really light brush strokes back and forth, small, some go all the way across. We're just streaking the white across with a little bit of green. We've got white with just a little bit of blue. It's all watered down. So we see more of that greenery up here above where the water is, and then less, we've got more coverage down here. And that's kind of the goal when you're putting that water in. I'm actually going to get a little bit more blue down here, I think. streaking just a little bit of that white up here in the ridges too, to kind of help push those stems back in there. Okay, that's our jar. Now we can move on to the tag. So I'm going to use Territorial Beige for this. Just kind of give me a brown like craft paper tag. And I kind of lost some of my lines, but that's alright. Just kind of sketch it in here. There we go. So if you're still watching, let me know what your favorite flowers are. And do you like cut flowers? I am not a big cut flowers in a vase on my table. It's not something I typically do. I like them in my garden. Okay, so there's my tag. I'm going to grab some white and lighten it up. Just streaking that white through it. We were inspecting the garden just yesterday to see what flowers came back, and I do have a few that are going to come back, so I'm excited about that. There we go. So we're just creating this really streaky tag. We have streaks of white areas. Or if you'd like a more solid brown, you could do that as well. Alright, so let's switch to a smaller round. This is just a step above probably a liner brush. I think it's a 2 or something like that. I'm going to grab some more of my dark pink, and we're going to create this cute little bow here. So I'm going to start by creating the bow, and then I will work around that for the tail and the wrap around the jar. So I want my bow to be about kind of right at the top of my tag, but not completely on it. So I'm going to start by creating my center of my bow, and that's just going to be a little circle, just a little dab of paint right there. And then we're going to put a loop off to one side, so just a little loop there. Then we'll do a loop on the other side. And remember, this is a tied bow of whether yarn or a skinny ribbon. So when you look at a real tied ribbon or bow, they're never perfect. They're kind of floppy. So don't worry about it being super perfect, or maybe one bow or one side is a little bigger than the other. That's okay too. So from the center point that I put there, I'm going to do a little squiggle off to one side for one tail. Then we'll go to the other one and squiggle down for the other side. And so that is our little bow. And then from there, we're just going to come from kind of the midpoint of this loop right here, and we're going to go out and go around the jar there. I'm going to go the other way with it, and then maybe it's wrapped around twice, so we've got a line coming across there. And you can create as many little streaks of pink line going across as you want. Alright, I'm going to dip my brush into that light pink and just streak a little bit of that light pink through the string here, or the ribbon. Grab the top of my loops there, grab the top of my little center knot, and then streak a little bit of pink through my tails. Okay. All right. Alright, the next thing that I'm going to do is grab a little bit of black, and we're going to add a little bit we're going to add some defining lines to everything. So I'm going to start with my tulips. I'm going to do a quick little line maybe on each side here. You can always also add one kind of down the center where we see maybe the edge of one of the petals. Kind of helps bring those out. Then I'm going to add maybe some streaks of black to some of my leaves. And then we're going to do a black around the top of our jar to help define that even more. On the edge here, I'm going to just do a little squiggle coming down just to kind of help define those ridges. Come down around there. I'll hit down there. Alright, then I'm going to go around my tag here. There we go. Okay, let me blow dry my tag real quick so that we can finish this off with our hand lettered tag. And I'm going to use a paint pen for this. This one's the Posca brand. It's a fine tip one. You could always also just use a fine tip Sharpie, or any other paint pen brand will work. And we will just, I encourage you just to use your hand, your own handwriting for this. And then once you get it written out, then you can just kind of go back and thicken it up to help it stand out. If you're going to use a paint pen for this step, make sure that your tag is completely dry, because wet paint ruins the tips of these paint pens, clogs them up. That is our fun and free painting today. Sign your name. and I hope you enjoyed this one. So I'm going to take this tape off here and I'll bring it up. So just to show you, every time you paint something, you tend to try something a little bit different. And in this one, I went with a little bit of a drier paintbrush. I didn't water things down quite as much, or I didn't have quite as much paint on my brush, and so I've got these really great drags in the back. Let me bring that up. So you can see that dragged paint in the background makes a really cool rustic wood look. And then this has got a little more drag going through there as well. My tulips are about the same. So then let me show you this one. So the beauty of doing a painting a couple times, again, like I said, after you do it once, the second time you do it, your creativity comes out a little bit, and you're like, I wonder what would happen if I did this. You start to ask those questions. I wonder what would happen if I added a little more white, or I wonder what would happen if I added a little more water or less water. And you start to experiment and start to learn different ways that you can use your brush, use paint, and that is really the fun of painting. So I encourage you to paint your paintings a couple times, because that second time you're going to be asking those what if questions. So you can see how this one has got just a bit of a smoother surface in the background, meaning I had more paint on my brush. It might have been just a little bit more watered down, and I streaked it maybe just a little bit more so you don't see that brown come through. So there we go. That is Tulips for Mom, and I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I hope that you find time to paint for yourself, and then possibly gift this to somebody. What an amazing gift that would be to somebody, a mom you know. And you could even shrink this down into a little card and make little cards too. Okay, let me see. I am not seeing comments right now, so hopefully after I finish the video, if you had any questions, I can see those and answer those. If you paint this later, if you're catching this on the replay and have questions, feel free to still drop them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can, or you can message me directly with your questions too. All right, one last time, don't forget we are doing the Spring Floral Challenge next week. It's $12. It's a 2-day event, and we're going to do this full floral painting with the rain boots, and I'm super excited for that, so I hope you join us there. You can purchase your ticket at redbyrddesigns.com under the classes menu. It's listed under classes, and you'll see it there. With your ticket, you are then you'll get access to our private group. That's where we will go live in our private Facebook group. We're going to have door prizes, and we'll just break down this whole process for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us for that. All right, guys, I will let you go. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching, and I hope you make time for yourself to paint this week. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later. Bye.